Chosen one, your soulmate couldn't hide their tears. God finally touched their heart. Loudly crying face, God says, my child, listen closely. The tears you could not see were not signs of weakness. They were the first honest answer their heart had given. For many nights, your soulmate tried to silence your memory. They stayed busy. They smiled around others. They spoke as though everything inside them was settled. Yet when the room became quiet, their hidden feelings returned. Your name rested inside their thoughts like an unfinished prayer. They could avoid the conversation. They could hide the photographs. They could even keep their phone face down. But they could not escape what their heart remembered. Something began changing within them. It happened slowly. Then suddenly. And when I touched the place they had kept guarded, their tears finally came. My beloved child, you wondered whether the distance meant they stopped caring. You saw their silence and imagined the worst. You believed their absence had erased what once felt sacred. Yet silence does not always mean love has disappeared. Sometimes silence reveals where fear has taken control. Your soulmate feared the depth of what they felt. They feared returning before they had changed. They feared looking into your eyes and seeing every pain they caused. So they remained distant. Not because their heart felt nothing. They remained distant because feeling everything became too heavy. If this message speaks gently to your heart, comment Amen. Let it become a quiet sign that you are choosing faith over fear. There is still more beneath those tears. One evening, your soulmate sat alone beside a dark window. Rain moved slowly across the glass. Their phone glowed beside an untouched cup of coffee. Your name appeared in an old message they never deleted. Their hand reached toward the screen. Then it stopped. Their breathing changed. The room felt smaller. They remembered the way you listened without judging them. They remembered your patience during their hardest days. They remembered one simple sentence you once spoke. That sentence had stayed with them. They never told you. It returned that night with unexpected force. Their eyes filled before they could turn away. For the first time, they did not fight those tears. They allowed the truth to reach them. My child, I was not using their tears to punish them. I was softening what fear had made hard. I was showing them that love cannot survive behind pride. They had spent too long defending choices that brought no peace. They blamed timing. They blamed confusion. They blamed circumstances around them. Yet deep inside, they knew the greatest battle lived within their own heart. They wanted your love, but they feared becoming responsible for it. They wanted your presence, but they feared being truly known. That night, their excuses began losing power. Grace entered the places they had locked. Their tears became a confession without words. Something inside them finally whispered, I cannot keep pretending. You who are listening, do not mistake this message for permission to chase them. Your task is not to force an answer. Your task is to remain steady while healing continues. Pray instead of worrying. Guard your peace. Let your heart stay open without abandoning wisdom. I am already working where you cannot yet see. Your soulmate must choose honesty freely. Their courage cannot be borrowed from your longing. It must rise from their own surrender. That is why the waiting carried purpose. You were learning not to lose yourself inside love. They were learning that real love requires truth. Two hearts were being taught different lessons. Both lessons were necessary. And one of those lessons reached them through tears. The next morning, sunlight entered their room through half-closed curtains. Their eyes were tired. Their heart felt exposed. An open Bible rested on a nearby table. They had not touched it for months. Yet that morning, they walked toward it. Their fingers moved across the pages without knowing where to stop. Then one thought became clear. They could not ask for peace while holding tightly to pride. They closed their eyes. No perfect prayer came. Only broken words. God, help me become honest. That prayer was small. But it was real. Heaven does not ignore honest surrender. Their tears returned. This time, they were not only tears of regret. They were tears of awakening. My beloved child, the number 777 may remind you of completion and trust. Do not use it as a promise about dates. Let it remind you that my work is deeper than what appears unfinished. Your soulmate is not being changed through pressure. Their heart is being changed through truth. They are beginning to see that missing you is not enough. Feeling sorry is not enough. Crying alone is not enough. Love must become action. It must become humility. It must become accountability. That realization frightened them. Yet it also freed them. Their tears washed away one illusion. They could no longer believe that silence protected everyone. Silence had only delayed the healing both hearts needed. They opened an unsent letter hidden inside a drawer. The paper had been folded several times. Your name was written across the top. Beneath it were words they never had courage to send. They had written about regret. They had written about the nights they almost called. They had written about seeing reminders of you everywhere. A song in a grocery store. An empty chair near a familiar window. A passing car that looked like yours. Yet one line made their hands tremble. I was loved deeply, and I became afraid. They read that sentence again. Then the tears fell harder. Because they finally understood the separation was not caused by your lack of value. It was caused by their lack of readiness. My child, let that truth settle gently within you. You spent too many nights questioning your worth. You replayed conversations and searched for hidden mistakes. You wondered whether being kinder could have changed everything. You asked whether loving less would have protected you. But love was not your failure. Their unhealed fear created the distance. This does not excuse the pain. It explains why the pain happened. Healing needs truth before restoration becomes possible. Your soulmate is finally seeing what their choices cost. They are not only missing your presence. They are facing the person they became when they walked away from honesty. That is why their tears could no longer remain hidden. Still, one truth remains unrevealed. Their tears were not caused only by memories. Something happened that brought your name directly before them. It was simple. Almost ordinary. Yet it reached a place no argument could reach. Someone spoke about forgiveness without knowing your situation. Soft worship music played in the background. A child laughed nearby. Then your soulmate heard a sentence that sounded painfully familiar. It carried the same kindness you once offered them. Their face changed. Their hands became still. Every wall inside them weakened. They realized the love they had feared was also the love that once made them feel safe. And at that moment, they knew their next decision could no longer be delayed. My beloved child, share this message with someone who needs hope today. Not because every separation ends the same way. Share it because every wounded heart deserves healing. Your peace must never depend on another person's return. Yet you may trust that honest transformation is possible. I am teaching your soulmate to face what they once avoided. I am teaching you to receive truth without losing balance. Their tears marked a beginning. Not a finished promise. Not an instant reunion. A beginning. The guarded heart has finally opened enough to feel. The proud voice has finally become quiet enough to listen. And behind that silence, your soulmate has begun preparing words they once believed they could never say. My child, stay close to peace. Do not run ahead. Do not create an ending before truth arrives. Their heart has been touched, but courage must now follow. The letter remains unsent. The phone remains beside them. Their hand has moved toward your name more than once. Each time, fear and honesty meet at the same doorway. Yet something is different now. Before, fear always won. This time, their tears have shown them what continued silence will cost. They are standing near a choice that could change everything between you. And the words forming inside their heart begin with a confession you have waited a long time to hear. My child, listen carefully. The confession forming inside their heart is not polished. It is not perfect. It carries fear, regret, and a truth they avoided too long. Your soulmate has practiced those words in empty rooms. They have whispered them while driving alone. They have spoken them into the dark, then stopped before finishing. Every time your name reaches their lips, their voice changes. The weight becomes real. They know an honest conversation could uncover every hidden wound. Yet they also know silence has already caused enough pain. Their tears have shown them something pride never could. They cannot heal by pretending you meant less than you did. Now they must decide whether courage will finally become action. That afternoon, they walked through a quiet place filled with familiar memories. The sky was pale, and the air carried a gentle chill. They passed a bench where they once imagined sitting beside you. For a moment, they slowed down. Their eyes lowered. A couple nearby laughed softly while sharing coffee. Your soulmate watched them, then looked away. It was not jealousy. It was recognition. They remembered how simple love once felt before fear complicated everything. They remembered the peace in your presence. They remembered how you never demanded perfection. You only asked for honesty. That memory struck deeper than before. Their tears returned, but this time they understood exactly why. My beloved child, they are beginning to see the difference between regret and repentance. Regret feels pain over what was lost. Repentance chooses a new direction. For a long time, your soulmate only regretted the silence. They missed your voice. They missed your kindness. They missed the way you made ordinary moments feel safe. Yet missing you did not change them. Now something deeper is happening. They are looking at the habits that caused the distance. They are facing their fear of commitment. They are seeing how pride shaped their words. They are noticing how often they withdrew when love asked them to become vulnerable. That truth hurts. But it is also opening the door they kept closed. You who are listening, this is why I did not allow the healing to be rushed. A quick return without change would have repeated the same pain. An emotional apology without growth would have sounded beautiful, then collapsed under pressure. I was protecting you from another unfinished version of them. I was also protecting them from returning before they could carry the weight of honesty. Trust my timing. I am not delaying love to punish you. I am preparing truth to support it. Your waiting has not been empty. Every quiet day has revealed what must change. Every unanswered question has taught you where your peace must live. And now both hearts are standing closer to truth than before. That evening, your soulmate opened the message thread again. The screen lit their face in the dark room. Their thumb hovered over the empty space below your last words. They typed one sentence. Then erased it. They typed another. That disappeared too. Finally, they wrote, "I owe you the truth." Their hand trembled. Their breathing grew shallow. They stared at those 5 words for several minutes. The send button remained untouched. Still, something important had changed. Before, they avoided even writing the truth. Now the truth existed before their eyes. It was no longer hidden inside them. The next step frightened them, but the first step had already happened. My child, do not think their hesitation means their heart remains unchanged. Real courage often arrives slowly. It takes shape through small choices. One honest prayer. One admitted mistake. One message written but not yet sent. Your soulmate is learning that bravery does not mean feeling no fear. It means choosing truth while fear is still present. They have spent years protecting themselves from rejection. They created distance before anyone could leave them. They stayed silent before anyone could question them. Yet your love reached the part of them that still wanted to be known. That is why your memory remained. That is why their tears came. And that is why they can no longer return to the person they were. The next morning, they spoke with someone they trusted. They did not reveal every detail. Their voice remained quiet. Their hands stayed folded tightly. Then they admitted something they had never said aloud. I hurt someone who loved me. The room became still. The person beside them did not offer an easy excuse. They simply asked, "Have you become honest with yourself?" Your soulmate looked down. A tear touched their hand. They nodded slowly. That question followed them for hours. Honesty with you could not begin until honesty within them became complete. And one hidden truth still needed to be faced before they could reach toward you. My beloved child, that hidden truth concerns the reason they pulled away at the moment love became strongest. It was not because their feelings faded. Their feelings frightened them. They sensed you could see beyond their smile. You noticed when their voice changed. You knew when they were pretending to be fine. Your closeness made their hidden wounds impossible to ignore. Instead of allowing love to help them heal, they stepped backward. They believed distance would restore control. For a while, it seemed to work. They kept moving. They filled their days. They avoided places connected to you. Yet control brought no peace. The farther they ran, the louder their heart became. One night, they dreamed of standing across from you beneath warm light. You said nothing. You only looked at them with sadness and peace. They tried to speak, but no sound came. Then you turned away. They woke with tears already falling. Their chest felt heavy. The dream did not promise a future. It revealed their fear. They were afraid the door to honest love might close before they found courage. They sat on the edge of the bed and covered their face. For the first time, they prayed without asking for comfort. They asked for strength to make things right. That prayer marked another change. Their focus moved from easing their pain toward taking responsibility for yours. My child, this matters deeply. Love becomes mature when it stops asking only, "How do I feel?" It begins asking, "What did my choices create?" Your soulmate is now seeing the nights you carried alone. They are imagining the unanswered messages. They are remembering the moments when you needed clarity, but received silence. Their tears are not only about losing you. They are about understanding you. Grace is teaching them to feel the weight of another heart. Not to crush them. To change them. They cannot rewrite what happened. But they can choose what kind of person stands before you next. That decision is becoming clearer with every honest tear. You are changing too. You once believed their return would fix every ache. Now you understand that peace must arrive before any conversation. You are learning to breathe without checking for signs. You are learning to pray without demanding one outcome. You are beginning to separate hope from control. This is strength. It does not mean you stopped caring. It means your heart is no longer begging love to prove your value. You know your worth now. You can listen without losing yourself. You can forgive without ignoring wisdom. You can remain soft while holding healthy boundaries. This growth will matter when the hidden words finally reach you. My beloved child, your soulmate has now written more than one message. Some are long. Some are only a few words. One begins with an apology. Another begins with your name. Yet the message they keep returning to begins differently. It begins with the truth behind their tears. They want you to know that the silence was never empty. They want you to know they remembered everything. They want you to know God used the quiet to uncover what they refuse to face. But before those words can leave their phone, they must answer one final question within themselves. Are they reaching out because they feel lonely, or because they are truly ready to become honest? That question has kept them awake. It has stopped them from sending words too soon. It has forced them to examine every motive. They do not want to return only because they miss comfort. They do not want another temporary moment. They are asking whether they can offer consistency. Whether they can remain present when emotions become difficult. Whether they can speak instead of disappearing. These questions are painful. Yet they are necessary. Their tears opened their heart. Now truth is testing its strength. And the answer they are beginning to form may become the most important change of all. My child, listen closely. Tonight, their phone is near them again. The unsent message remains open. Their eyes are red, but their breathing is calmer. A soft song plays in the room. Their hand no longer trembles as before. They read the words once more. Then they add one final line. It is not a promise of perfection. It is a request for honesty. Their thumb moves toward the screen. But just before they act, a memory of your last conversation returns. One sentence you spoke that day now changes the meaning of everything they plan to say. And when they finally understand that sentence, their tears reveal the truth they have not yet admitted even to themselves. My child, listen carefully. The sentence returning to their heart was simple. You once said, I never wanted perfection. I only wanted the truth. Those words had seemed ordinary at the time. Now they echoed through every quiet corner of their mind. Your soulmate finally understood that you had never asked them to carry impossible expectations. You had only asked them to stop hiding. That realization broke something inside them. The walls they spent years building no longer felt strong. They felt empty. Their tears came again. Not because they were weak. Because truth had finally reached a place excuses could never enter. They placed the phone down and walked outside into the cool evening air. The sky was calm. A gentle breeze moved through the trees. For the first time in many months, they did not search for a distraction. They simply stood still. They whispered a quiet prayer. God, if there is still a path forward, teach me how to walk it honestly. The prayer was short. It carried no demands. It asked for wisdom instead of shortcuts. Peace did not arrive all at once. It arrived one breath at a time. That peace became the first sign their heart was truly changing. My beloved child, many people believe love is proven through beautiful words. Yet lasting love is often revealed through humble actions. Your soulmate is beginning to understand this. They know one emotional message cannot erase every wound. They know one apology cannot instantly rebuild trust. They are learning that real healing grows through patience. It grows through consistency. It grows through choosing honesty every day. This lesson is not easy. But it is becoming part of who they are. The tears you never saw became the beginning of that transformation. Meanwhile, I have also been working quietly within your own heart. There were nights when you questioned your value. There were mornings when you wondered why the silence continued. Yet you kept moving forward. You kept praying even when answers seemed far away. You learned to find peace before receiving explanations. That quiet strength matters. It has prepared you to hear truth without becoming controlled by emotion. Whether conversations come quickly or slowly, your peace does not need to disappear. I have been teaching you to stand on hope instead of uncertainty. Your soulmate opened an old photo hidden deep inside a forgotten folder. They looked at your smile for several moments. No words were spoken. Only silence filled the room. Then they noticed something they had ignored before. They remembered how safe they felt beside you. They remembered laughing without pretending. They remembered feeling accepted without performing. Those memories carried no bitterness. They carried gratitude. Gratitude soon became sorrow. Sorrow became tears. And those tears became another quiet prayer. They thanked me for allowing them to recognize the gift they once took for granted. My child, sometimes people only recognize light after walking through darkness. That truth does not justify painful choices. But it explains why broken hearts sometimes awaken slowly. Your soulmate is no longer trying to protect an image. They are allowing me to reshape their character. Pride is becoming humility. Fear is becoming honesty. Regret is becoming responsibility. These changes cannot always be seen from the outside. Yet they are real. They are happening quietly. They are happening deeply. And each step prepares them for conversations they once believed were impossible. One afternoon they found themselves passing by a small church. The doors were open. Soft music floated into the street. They paused for only a moment. Then they walked inside. No one noticed them. Sunlight reached through the stained glass windows. The room felt peaceful. They sat alone in the last row. Their shoulders slowly relaxed. Their eyes closed. No speech had been prepared. Only tears answered the silence. They realized they had spent years asking for comfort while avoiding honesty. That realization brought both sadness and relief. Because once truth is accepted, healing finally has room to grow. My beloved child, do not measure every day by visible progress. Seeds grow quietly before anyone sees new life. Healing often follows the same pattern. What appears unchanged on the surface may already be transforming beneath it. This is why I ask you to trust my timing. Trust does not mean pretending nothing hurts. Trust means believing I remain present even while answers are still forming. Your heart is safe with me. Their heart is also in my hands. I continue working in places human eyes cannot fully see. Your soulmate has started removing old habits that kept them emotionally distant. They no longer ignore difficult thoughts. They no longer silence every feeling with constant activity. They have begun facing uncomfortable memories instead of running from them. This process is slow. Some mornings feel hopeful. Other days feel heavy. Yet one thing has changed forever. They no longer want to return to the person they used to be. That desire itself is evidence of growth. Every honest decision moves them one step farther from fear. You who are listening, remember this carefully. Forgiveness does not erase wisdom. Compassion does not require ignoring healthy boundaries. Love becomes stronger when it walks beside truth. If a future conversation happens, let honesty guide every word. Do not rush. Do not pretend old wounds never existed. Allow grace and wisdom to stand together. That is how lasting restoration begins. Peace grows where truth is welcomed. As evening returned once more, your soulmate looked again at the unfinished message. This time they did not erase every sentence. They read each word slowly. They removed every excuse. They removed every attempt to defend themselves. Only honesty remained. The message became shorter than before. Simpler. Stronger. It no longer focused on explaining their pain. It acknowledged yours. That change surprised even them. Their tears fell again, but these tears carried hope instead of confusion. My child, there is one final realization unfolding inside their heart. They are beginning to understand that genuine love is not proven by dramatic promises. It is revealed by faithful choices. That understanding is changing everything they plan to say. Before they reach out, they want their actions to reflect their words. They want truth to become visible through the way they live, not only through what they write. This decision will shape every step that follows. Tonight, they sit quietly once more. The message is complete. Their heart feels lighter than it has in years. They whisper one final prayer before making the next move. Then something unexpected catches their attention. It is a memory connected to the very last time they looked into your eyes. That forgotten moment suddenly reveals the deepest reason God first touched their heart with tears. And when that truth becomes completely clear, nothing between the past and the future will ever look the same again. My child, listen closely. The memory returning to them was not loud. It was gentle. It was the final moment your eyes met before silence separated you. They remembered how you waited for one honest answer. You did not ask for a perfect future. You did not ask them to solve every problem. You simply waited for truth. Instead, they looked away. They carried that moment with them ever since. Now they finally understand that the deepest wound was not created by distance. It was created when fear spoke louder than love. That realization brought fresh tears. Yet those tears were no longer empty. They became the beginning of true surrender. My beloved child, I have been patiently working in places where neither of you could see. I never stopped calling them toward honesty. I never stopped strengthening your heart during the waiting. Even when everything looked still, my hands remained at work. There were conversations you never heard. Quiet prayers you never witnessed. Sleepless nights only I understood. Every hidden moment became part of a greater healing. Nothing was wasted. Not even the silence. I was teaching both of you lessons that comfort alone could never teach. Your soulmate sat beside a small lake before sunrise. The water reflected the first light of morning. Birds sang softly across the trees. They watched the ripples move across the surface and thought about how one small stone changes the entire water. Then they realized one fearful decision had also changed many lives. They closed their eyes. Their voice trembled. Lord, I cannot change yesterday. Help me become different today. Peace settled over them. It did not erase regret. It gave them strength to face it honestly. My child, healing often begins with one sincere prayer. It grows through many faithful choices afterward. Your soulmate is discovering that love asks for humility every single day. They are learning to listen before speaking. They are learning to admit mistakes without protecting their pride. They are learning that broken trust is not repaired through pressure. It is rebuilt through faithfulness. These lessons are becoming part of their heart. Slowly. Quietly. Deeply. Every tear has watered new ground inside them. Meanwhile, I have been restoring your own heart in ways you did not notice. There were days you smiled even while carrying questions. There were evenings when worship filled your room although your heart still felt heavy. You chose prayer instead of bitterness. You chose kindness instead of revenge. Those quiet decisions mattered more than you realized. They shaped your spirit. They protected your peace. They prepared you to recognize truth without becoming controlled by fear. I have been closer than you imagined through every moment. One afternoon your soulmate found an old notebook hidden inside a drawer. Between its pages rested a small piece of paper. It held a verse about patience and love. They could not remember placing it there. Yet seeing those words brought fresh emotion. They remembered the hope you carried even during difficult days. They remembered how you believed healing was possible. They once thought that hope was weakness. Now they understand it was strength. Tears filled their eyes again. They whispered your name softly. This time, gratitude replaced shame. My beloved child, never believe that tears alone complete the work of healing. Tears open the heart. Truth changes the heart. Faithful action reveals the heart. Your soulmate understands this now. They know they cannot ask for trust without becoming trustworthy. They know they cannot ask for forgiveness while hiding behind excuses. They no longer want temporary comfort. They desire lasting transformation. That desire is one of the clearest signs my grace is working within them. As evening arrived, they visited a familiar road they had avoided for a long time. Every step carried memories. Every corner reminded them of conversations once shared. The silence felt different now. It no longer accused them. It invited reflection. They stopped beneath a tree where they once laughed together. They closed their eyes. They remembered your kindness during one difficult season of their life. They realized you gave love freely while expecting only honesty in return. That truth settled deeply within them. Their heart became softer than it had ever been before. My child, there will always be voices encouraging people to hide behind pride. There will always be reasons to delay difficult conversations. But peace cannot grow where truth is constantly postponed. That is why I have been leading your soulmate toward honesty step by step. I do not rush hearts through healing. I strengthen them until truth becomes stronger than fear. They are reaching that place now. Every quiet surrender has prepared them for what comes next. Tonight, they looked once more at the message waiting on their phone. They read every word slowly. Nothing dramatic remained. No attempt to impress you remained. Only honesty filled the screen. They asked themselves one final question. If this message never receives an answer, will I still choose truth? They waited quietly. Then they nodded. Yes. Because truth had become more important than protecting themselves. That answer brought unexpected peace. It also prepared them for the next step. My beloved child, keep your heart steady. Do not build expectations ahead of my timing. Let hope remain gentle. Let peace remain strong. Continue walking faithfully each day. Whether conversations happen soon or later, never forget where your security truly rests. It rests in my love. Human hearts may grow. Human hearts may change. Yet my faithfulness never changes. Hold tightly to that truth while everything else unfolds. Your soulmate is now standing at the edge of a decision they once believed impossible. The tears have stopped. Their breathing has become calm. Their heart is no longer running from honesty. They reach for the phone again. Their thumb moves toward the screen with quiet confidence. Yet just before they press send, they receive unexpected news that causes them to pause. In that moment, they realize I have one final lesson to place within their heart before the truth finally reaches yours. My child, listen carefully. The unexpected news did not arrive to stop what was good. It arrived to reveal whether their heart had truly changed. A familiar voice reached out asking for their attention. Months earlier, they would have followed the easiest path. They would have hidden behind confusion again. This time they remained still. They did not answer too quickly. They bowed their head and whispered, Lord, I do not want to repeat the person I used to be. Lead me in truth. That quiet prayer revealed a heart becoming different. Real change had begun. My beloved child, growth is often tested before it becomes visible. A lesson learned in silence must one day stand in the middle of real choices. Your soulmate is facing such a moment. They are discovering that honesty costs something. It asks them to leave behind old habits. It asks them to stop protecting an image. It asks them to become the same person in private that they hope to appear in public. This is not easy. Yet my grace is giving them strength one faithful step at a time. That evening they opened the Bible once again. The room was peaceful. A small lamp filled the space with warm light. Their hands no longer shook with fear. They slowly read words about mercy, forgiveness, and renewed hearts. They paused often. They reflected quietly. They realized I had not abandoned them during their mistakes. I had patiently called them back through conviction instead of condemnation. Tears gathered again, but these were tears of gratitude. Hope had begun replacing shame. My child, I also want you to remember something important. Another person's growth does not determine your worth. Your value has never depended on whether someone recognized your love. Your value has always rested in the love I have for you. Hold that truth close. Let it become the foundation beneath every hope you carry. Peace grows stronger when your identity is rooted in me rather than in uncertain outcomes. Your soulmate spent the next day removing reminders of the life they no longer wanted. Not reminders of you. Reminders of fear. They deleted excuses they had repeated for years. They wrote down the habits they wanted to leave behind. They admitted where pride had spoken too loudly. They no longer blamed circumstances for every painful choice. Responsibility became freedom instead of punishment. Their heart felt lighter because truth no longer had to fight against denial. My beloved child, this is how healing often unfolds. It rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It grows through daily surrender. One honest prayer. One humble decision. One faithful act after another. The tears you have heard about were never the finish line. They were the first visible sign that a hidden work had already begun. The greatest changes often happen quietly before anyone else notices them. As the sun began to set, your soulmate walked through a familiar neighborhood. Children laughed in the distance. Wind moved gently through the trees. Life continued all around them. Yet inside, everything felt different. They no longer carried the same heavy resistance. Instead, they carried a quiet desire to live with integrity. They realized peace could never be built upon hidden fears. It could only grow where honesty was welcomed. That realization stayed with them long after they returned home. My child, continue choosing patience. Continue choosing wisdom. Do not allow anxiety to write conclusions before truth has time to speak. Every season has its purpose. Every lesson has its place. Even when you cannot see the full picture, remember that I see every detail. I understand every tear. I know every prayer spoken in the middle of the night. Nothing offered to me in faith is ever forgotten. Later that night, your soulmate looked once more at the message resting on the screen. They read it slowly. Then they added one final sentence. It was not about promises they could not guarantee. It was about honesty they were finally willing to live. They placed the phone down instead of acting impulsively. They wanted their next step to be guided by wisdom rather than emotion. That decision filled their heart with unexpected peace. My beloved child, whatever tomorrow brings, let your heart remain steady. Hope does not require rushing ahead. Faith does not demand certainty about every outcome. Walk with me one day at a time. Keep praying instead of worrying. Keep trusting my timing. Hearts can change. People can grow. Healing is possible. And when truth is welcomed with humility, even the deepest tears can become the beginning of lasting restoration. The quiet has not ended because nothing is happening. The quiet remains because the next step deserves wisdom instead of haste. Stay close to me. There is still more to understand before every answer becomes clear. My child, listen closely. Before this message comes to its end, I want you to remember one truth above every emotion you have felt today. Do not build your future upon guesses. Build it upon my faithfulness. Human hearts can change. Human hearts can also struggle. But my love remains constant through every season. That is where your peace begins. That is where your hope remains secure. Your soulmate's tears were never meant to become your identity. They were simply one moment in a much greater work of healing. Whether those tears lead to a conversation, an apology, or a new beginning, continue walking with me each day. Let forgiveness remain in your heart. Let wisdom guide your steps. Let peace protect your thoughts. Never lose yourself while waiting for another person to grow. My beloved child, I have seen every silent prayer you whispered when no one else knew you were hurting. I have counted every tear you tried to hide. I have remained beside you through every lonely night and every uncertain morning. You were never forgotten. You were never abandoned. Even during the silence, my hand was holding yours. Even when answers seemed delayed, my purpose was still unfolding. If your soulmate truly returns with humility, receive every word with both grace and wisdom. Listen carefully. Observe patiently. Allow truth to be seen through faithful actions, not only beautiful promises. Healthy love grows through honesty, respect, kindness, and consistency. Never settle for less than that. You deserve to be treated with dignity because you are deeply loved by me. If the path ahead unfolds differently than you expected, do not believe your hope has ended. My plans are always greater than your fears. I can bring healing in ways you never imagined. I can bring peace where confusion once lived. I can restore joy after seasons of sorrow. Keep your eyes on me before looking at any other answer. Walk forward without fear. Sleep tonight without carrying every burden alone. Pray instead of worrying. Trust my timing instead of rushing your own. The future does not belong to anxiety. It belongs to my loving care. Day by day, I will continue guiding your steps with wisdom, peace, and grace. If this message has encouraged your heart today, share it with someone who also needs hope. Let them be reminded that no heart is beyond healing and no life is beyond my grace. And if these words have helped you place your trust in me once again, quietly type Amen. Let that simple word become your prayer of faith, your declaration of hope, and your reminder that my love has never left your side. Go in peace, my child. I am with you today. I will be with you tomorrow. And I will remain faithful through every step that lies ahead.